And I've seen people. I've killed a hatchet runner, looted him, and you know what's in his pockets, GigaBeef? Ruples.
What?
1 ruple in each slot.
One ruble in each slot? Why?
Yes, because when he loots something, it goes straight to his container.
Oh, that's smart.
It's like, are you serious?
That's big brain. That's big brain. That's like maximum hatchling efficiency. You know what? There's something about that I respect.
Oh, 100%. 100%. You know what's even
There's
the
something about
next
that I
level
like.
that you can't do anymore, but the next level that one of my buddies told me about, you unpack the ammo out of the boxes and you put the empty boxes in the I was like, dude, that's so genius.
Don't even
You
waste
save
a
1
ruble.
ruble.
This is like...
Welcome to Scav Talk, an Escape from Tarkov podcast with a focus on the continuing development of the game, patch notes analysis, theory crafting, and general gameplay discussions. My name is Church. I do content creation, video editing, and live streaming.
And I'm GigaBeef, a Tarkov YouTuber bringing mainly beginner and intermediate guides to help players improve their gameplay, knowledge, and confidence. And welcome everyone to the show. So, how's it been going?
Pretty good, man. I've been sticking to a schedule now, like a proper work ethic schedule. Yeah, it's been really good.
Nice.
So like I wake up, I do some editing, general stuff like that, and then take a break, eat for a little bit, start the stream, go for about 4 hours, and then usually I pass out and crash after that. Afterwards, I'll be like, yeah, I'll work on, I'll do like this one little thing, maybe I'll like clip a video or clip something from the stream, but then usually I'm just like, I just pass out.
I think that's fair enough. That's fair enough. So what time do you normally stream then? When you start?
2 p.m. Eastern. I only do about 4 hours.
Yeah.
Afterwards, I just kind of get burnt out, I
Yeah,
feel like I'm most energetic during that time frame.
I think that's good. Like, I think you got to know yourself, like how you're going to feel after doing it, and when you can put your best in. I know because I do 3, and it's quite funny because I actually don't feel it at the time, but like when I finish, it's like I guess like 10, 15 minutes afterwards, I feel like my face is kind of like, I'm just like, because I've just been like so like concentrating on like speaking to people and like trying to play the game and everything. Like, I don't really feel it at the time, and then it's afterwards. I'm just like, oh man, oh boy. So I get you. I get you. Yeah, it's important to know where your limits are. Important to know. You've been playing the new patch a bunch then, I guess.
Yeah.
This week.
Yeah. It's worked out perfectly because last episode, I mentioned I take a break, and now this episode, I come back. The patch is here. It's great.
The prodigal son returns.
Yeah.
It's all good. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I haven't managed to play as much as I would like, but I've had a dabble here and there in between making some content. I've actually just been really focused on making content this week and trying to get like back ahead of myself because I got a bit crunched in real life, and so kind of things fell behind a little bit. So I want to bring my buffer back, and that's kind of what I've been spending my time doing, which is all good. And it's good for kind of mental well-being to be ahead of yourself.
For sure.
But it's meant that my time's been a little limited. But obviously, I've been like keeping up to date on Twitter and like on Reddit and seeing what people are saying and that kind of thing. And I've played a little bit myself. So yeah, I think we've got there's plenty to chat about on that basis. To be honest with you. Yeah, I guess like the only other thing just to say before that, like when we were talking about streaming and stuff, is I kept having this issue with the new PC, and it was completely fine at first, and I finally figured it out. And it's like so stupid. It's just because I forgot to do something. Is that like on Windows 10 you have this like game mode thing, and you absolutely have to run. I don't know which one you run, but I run Streamlabs, and you absolutely have to run it in admin mode. And I completely forgot like 2 streams ago, and I was having loads of problems and like couldn't record at the same time, and like people saying, oh, it's like glitching, it's not working properly, blah blah. And I was like, oh, this is so annoying. Like tried loads of stuff and just completely forgot about the administrator mode thing. And then I did exactly the same thing last stream because I just hadn't figured it out still. And I was like, well, maybe I tried rolling back my graphics and doing a stream then, and it like didn't make any difference because the only thing that I'd done is update my graphics drivers, and it was just like didn't work. It still didn't. It was just like really bad, like a slideshow for people. And I was like, okay, this is awful. So I actually properly drilled down last week and like checked it and tested it, and it turns out there's actually a Twitch test service. Didn't realize this. So
Ooh.
it basically pretends your PC is streaming. Your PC thinks it's streaming, but actually doesn't go anywhere. You add like codes to your stream key, and then it doesn't actually go anywhere. But you can open up a Twitch page which shows you your bit rate. It shows you like a whole bunch of metrics, but whether you're like losing frames or whether stuff's going wrong, which is quite cool. And yeah, basically, I was like, oh, maybe I should try admin mode again, and I did it, and everything works perfectly. I'm like, I'm so stupid because I knew this the whole time. I knew this somewhere in my brain, but it just wasn't connected to my conscious effort of trying to fix this. And when I saw it, I was like, yeah, that's the answer. And then it was fixed, and now I can record and stream again, and it's great. So I'm glad to have found the answer out. But that was that was slightly annoying. But usual service is being resumed from now, which is good. Which is good.
Yeah, I had, when the patch dropped, I was playing and I was streaming, right? And all of a sudden I just blue screened. I was like, "What?"
Oh,
I was like, "Oh, no, don't tell me Tarkov is broken, dude. Don't tell me." So then I booted back up, we got back on. I was playing again, and then Tarkov crashed, and it had, like, some Unity engine thing, but no, like, error message, nothing, really to, like, report. No, like, report button or anything. So and then it blue screen again, and I was like, "Okay, that's the stream." And the only thing I did
mm,
different was I did a Windows update because I had to restart my PC for some reason, I don't remember why. And, now Windows 10 is like, "Oh, you're restarting your PC? You have to update," so
yeah,
which I hate that, dude, but
it's grim.
so
It's grim.
I ended up updating the next day, and I took off Steam Audio because I had, like, a bunch of, like, troubleshooting lists, and so far, no crashes, which also leads me into another interesting topic we could dive into is Steam Audio's here. So I don't
Yes.
think the crashes are related to Steam Audio because the 2 things I've done was turn off Steam Audio and a Windows update. I kinda suspect that for me personally, I didn't get, like, a full Windows update, I got, like, a half Windows update. I don't know, something weird happened, but,
Mm.
I people have said about the ghost footsteps. Have you experienced them?
I have not, and I've seen this bug in the
Interesting.
past, and I had this list on my list because I think it's an important point, and this used to get reported as well previously. I don't know when, and I'm not sure if it was connected to Steam Audio, but I've definitely seen this bug before,
Mhm.
and I have never had it, even when people were reporting it previously, and I don't get it now either.
Are you
So
on Steam Audio,
I
though?
am.
That's interesting.
But apparently people are getting the bug even if they're not on Steam Audio. So they've
S
done something to the audio somewhere in like the core framework of the audio that makes it happen. Some people seem to think it's to do with scav spawning in, and then it happens offline if you have it on horde mode loads because like there's tons of scav spawning supposedly. But
Now,
I haven't had it.
I have another question for you.
Oh
When they removed Steam Audio, did you leave binaural audio checked on?
yes,
That is so weird because, dude, I had the same experience, right? I have binaural checked on. I load into game, ghost footsteps, right? And I remember this being an issue back when Steam Audio was getting bugged, right? There's
yeah,
issues. Like it was Steam Audio's the history was like Steam Audio was introduced, it was working fine, then it wasn't working fine, then they removed it, and then they put it back in. And
hmm
when it wasn't working, there was ghost footsteps. When they removed it, no more ghost footsteps. They put it back in. Ghost footsteps are like random, apparently, because when I played with Steam Audio in this patch, I was having ghost footsteps. I was crashing, still getting ghost footsteps. Interesting enough, when I loaded into the raid after I crashed, ghost footsteps are playing, right?
hmm
So I think it has to do with like loading objects, which makes sense
is that
when
with Steam Audio? As in
yes,
Ghost Footsteps with it still? Okay.
yes. Which makes sense because scavs why people reported scavs, they think it's scavs. I think it has to do, like my theory is has to do with, like, the audio, Steam Audio is loading, so it's, like, literally loading while you're in game as the game is starting up, you know what I mean? That's my theory. So then it's, like, trying to, like, calculate all these sounds and get, like, the parameters right, and I don't know. Anyways,
Maybe yeah.
now
Does it
that
like
I have Steam Audio off, no ghost footsteps, but I've heard
was it
people
happening to you all
say
the way through the raid, or was it just like just at the start?
just at the start and when I loaded in. Like, I crashed mid-raid, restart the
Oh, I
game,
see what you
load it
mean. When
in.
you loaded back in after a crash.
Yes.
Ah,
And for
interesting.
me, in my experiences, the ghost footsteps only happen at the beginning of the raid, aka when your PMC loads into the game, the
Yeah,
match.
as in you're spawning in, and then maybe if there's like scavs that spawn in really close to you, maybe you hear them as well. I mean, it could be something really basic, like, it's a piece of audio that's like they've maybe like coded it out somewhere in the normal framework, but like PMCs, just so there's no clipping issues or something, they spawn like 1 centimeter off the ground, and because they didn't like fix that in the Steam audio implementation of the game, that like you spawn like
Yeah,
1 centimeter above and you do one drop, and that's
that's
why
what
you
I'm
hear like one
thinking.
step. I don't know. Like it could be
It could
anything,
be
but like that would
anything.
be my theory.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it sounds to me like there's a lot of stuff. I was actually reading some things on the wiki page today, and it kind of just made me go like, "Oh God, guys!" Because stuff like that with like hard codes sounds to me like a lot of the things that they've done, and it smacked of. Uh, they were talking about, I think they were talking about something to begin with, but then they were talking about like the new pistol and like stir up, and about how every time they add a suppressor or a pistol
Oh my
or
god,
whatever, they
yeah.
have to add it to like Punisher to stir up whatever, rather than having like
Spaghetti code.
here's the set of things that we need to parameterize when we add a new item, and then here's all the stuff that it's going to work for. It's like new bolt actions, whatever that's going to work for Shoot Born in Heaven, suppressors, and this is going to work for this quest, and then stirrup that's going to work with these pistols because they're all classed as pistols, but there doesn't seem to be any like classification system, and so they have to like manually add it each time. And I don't know, yeah, exactly, spaghetti code, and just kind of like I guess like a lack of like organization. I mean, maybe that's being unfair, but it does seem like every time they do an update and add something in, they have to go and manually add it to all these quests. I'm sure there's quite a few things like that. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's something like this, like, oh, there was a fix for this that they already did in in the old audio, but like I guess what like one of those things, right? You never know. It's like, oh, there's somebody who did it, like they did it right at the beginning of when Escape from Tarkov was first created. That person
Yeah,
has since left. No one knows where it is in the code. Who knows?
yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know, but we'll see. But I've never experienced it. I've never had it. I still don't get it. I have Steam
That's
Audio on. I swear
crazy
by
to
Steam
me.
Audio, and I've never, ever, ever had a ghost footstep ever.
I can't get over that because now it's just like, "What?" You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's super weird. And like,
That
I
there's
wonder
so
though, like,
many
yeah,
misreports.
I just hope that like now I'm not just going to go into raid and it's going to be like, oh, ghost footsteps everywhere, and I'm like, oh well, I'll eat my words. But like, even when people were reporting it last time, that's what makes me more confident about it. Is that people were reporting it last time, and I didn't have any problems at all last
That
time.
is so weird. So maybe it's like code and system software related. Like, I don't know.
I
That's
really
so
don't know.
weird.
I really don't know. It's super, super strange. It's super, super strange. I don't know.
Yeah.
So hopefully they fix that. And the other one that I wanted to talk about is the bug that I have experienced on the new patch that I've seen
Mhm.
reported. It was actually on the
Mhm.
front page of Reddit for EFT. So I think a lot of people have had it, and is the lighting, the flickering problem. I don't know whether you've had it.
I've seen that.
Um,
I thought it was flashlights.
yeah. So to me, so I had it on, and this is where most people are reporting. It was on Shoreline, and it was Dawn, and I think it's
I
something to
remember
do with
that.
the way that it's the way that like I'm gonna hold this up to the camera. So as the sun comes in from the side, the sun model, like when you look at the shadows, the sun model ticks with a certain frequency, and it's actually not smooth. It does happen at with like a tick rate. So if you look at the shadows, it goes like tick, 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 tick. And when I measured it, I actually submitted a bug report for this because the guys were actually on the thread on Reddit saying, send me a DM with your ticket number and stuff because we want to actually have a look at this and like collect them all in one place, like in a semi-urgent kind of way. And so I actually submitted one and DM'd them with my report because when I was looking at it, it basically happens every 10 seconds. So it's something very periodic. And I think it's to do with the sun angle. And once it reaches a certain point, it triggers something weird. And what it looks like to me, so I was like looking out from that, like, what's it called? Like the aerial mast thing. If you're like looking at weather station and you look at it from that like aerial mast, like overlook bit, I was kind of looking that way. And there's like a bunch of trees and a rock on the sort of left hand side. And it kind of happens across the whole screen, but it's most noticeable over on that side. And it looks as if a really small little flashbang just goes off like every
Yeah.
10 seconds. It's like super weird. It's super, super weird. So I don't know what's happened there, but that's the one that I've been having. And it's I had it on some other maps too, but that was the place that was like really obvious because I was like lying
Mhm.
down trying to do Shoot Born in Heaven, like not moving. And so it's like 30 seconds, three flashes, like every 10 seconds, like kind of strange. I don't think it happens when this like, or it's not as noticeable when the sun's high, but when it's like coming up, this kind of like I don't know however they've implemented that. It doesn't seem to
Yeah.
doesn't seem to function properly, but we'll see. I'm sure they'll hot fix it because they seemed quite keen, given they were all over the thread.
There was
So
a hot fix today. Um, let's see
so it
what
could be
was
that, I
listed.
suppose. Yeah, it could be that. Haven't actually
Grenade
looked.
grenade explosions without effects or sounds is listed as fix. Hangs on loading into a raid at a waiting session start stage, that was fixed. Inability to switch scope mode on the NC Star, and then incorrect operation of reflex sight shaders. We could talk about that in a sec. Thermal and nothing, no lighting stuff here.
Hmm.
I did see this. A lot people, I think Logical Solutions posted on Twitter the reflex sight, how it changed from because apparently when I say reflex sight, I'm talking about the EOTech specifically. I guess it's like a
Hmm.
much darker red when the patch dropped, and then
Yeah.
now they reverted it back to where it's like you know slightly opaque around the edges. I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, some people were they really liked the change, the unintentional bug.
Yeah, I read through a whole series of stuff on again on Reddit of people talking about that in
Mhm.
particular, and like people arguing between realism versus usability. Like
Yeah,
it's
here we
just a
go.
whole yeah. Oh, I was just like, oh my goodness. Um, a whole host of different opinions as usual,
Mhm.
but I don't know. Um,
I saw
I
a
never use that
good
scope to be honest.
I saw a good middle ground that nice guy posted. He said maybe they could implement brightness settings, because apparently those sites, they have, like, a built-in brightness button.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
I'm sure they do actually. Yeah,
so that was kinda interesting. I thought
I
personally
think quite a lot of them do. Yeah,
personally, I never used it when it was like that, so I don't really have an opinion. But yeah, the
yeah. I don't
regular
really
version
know.
doesn't really bother me, so I really didn't have a opinion, but
Yeah, I'm just like a filthy Delta Point fanboy these days. I
that's a
literally
point,
don't
yeah.
use anything else. I just use the Delta Point all the time. It's super good. I love it. I think it's so nice. Yeah, I mean, in terms of like talking about red dots and optics and that kind of thing, like there was another whole thread about the new 9mm weapon because of the whole
Yes.
default round and zeroing and all this stuff. So there's another thread appeared to kind of like educate everybody, which is really good. You know, I'm really pleased that that whoever it was actually put that up because people need to know about it and why if you're using 7N31
Mhm.
um, with the new boy, it's not going to work properly because the rounds are too fast. And if you have anything over 25 meters zero, just basically
Yeah,
anything with like a zero over 25 meters gets worse and worse and worse because the round overshoots because it expects it to be
yeah,
dipping a lot more than it is. And
which
so yeah,
is really
ugh,
unfortunate because that gun is, like, perfect for 7 and 1 in a scope. Like, it's
yeah.
perfect for it, man.
That's basically what it's for, right? And without the ability
More or
to use a
less, yeah.
scope with it, I I don't know. I mean, like I've seen actually a lot of people. I mean, I guess we can like yeah, it's a segue into talking about it as well. I've seen a lot of people putting up like builds for the new weapon and like using the new weapon and all this kind of
I did.
stuff. Like yeah, like there's a lot of people who have done. I probably am not going to. I haven't actually used it. My
Mhm.
opinion is it's no different to the Saiga 9. I don't understand.
It's a fancy Saiga 9, more or
Like
less,
the
yeah.
Saiga 9 before so when I did my updated lowest recoil gun, which was for the
Mhm.
Vector after it surpassed the MPX, after they nerfed the MPX, messed with one and put the Vector in, the Saiga 9 was still the number 2 lowest recoil gun in the entire game when you mod it. So this gun or its use
What
case,
is the recoil?
it's like 23 or something. Like, you mean on the new one? The new one you can get down
No
to
no,
a
the Sega
19.
nine.
I think Sega 9 is gets like I think it's like 23, 24 if you get it all the way down if you like add all the stuff. So to me, this use case already existed. Nobody used it because it's utter crap, right? And that's my and like it sounds awful, right? It sounds really awful, but I couldn't help but just think like this is not going to be good, and it's not ever going to be good, and I don't understand. And if you're gonna, oh, I don't know. I don't get it.
Well,
I don't get it.
BSG is basically said their stance on well, maybe they've not said, but it's pretty clear that they don't prioritize, putting new guns in the game to how they interact in the meta. They just
Oh
are
yeah,
they just love guns, right? They're gun nuts.
absolutely, and that is completely fine. That's actually completely fine. I
Yeah,
don't mind them adding the gun to the game at all. I like variety. I actually find it quite fun that there's more guns in the game. Um, but that does not uh, put me off from never using this weapon and and thinking that it's bad. So
yeah, I
I think
mean,
it's
for
quite funny.
sure,
Like,
it's not like a competitive gun by any means. I mean,
yeah,
it's like yeah, absolutely.
because the vector just like completely negates the use of this weapon in its entirety. If the you know what, if the vector hadn't been added, if the vector was not in the game, I would think that this might make it very slightly better, a little bit. Because then you're like, well,
Sure.
it has really low recoil. It's like really low recoil, so you can just like click away, and it's as if you're not really firing at all. But with the vector, it's like I don't understand because it's like 9 mil is so bad on semi. It's the reason why no one uses the Tiger 9 in the first place, right? Because it's like 9 mil is so bad on semi, and even with 7M1, which is like just about okay. Oh, I don't know. It's just like I don't think it's not really anything other than fun, which is that's fine in and of
Yeah.
itself. That's fine. Like people use these weapons to have fun and not just use the meta guns because it's interesting, and that's actually okay. That's actually okay. But I'm never going to pretend that this thing's good. It's or that it has a role anywhere. Like I don't think it has. I don't
I
think there's
see,
any role
that's
for this thing.
here's the thing, I feel like stuff like this could have a role if you literally could not just, um, fast track the progression of the game. You know what I mean? Like, take, for example, the UMP, right? They came out with the UMP, and its first implementation really wasn't great because it was, like, more expensive than the MP5, and in the description, it's like, "This is a cheaper alternative. It was developed by H&K for a cheaper alternative than the MP5." Um, but it's like, why, let's say it was like I don't even know what the amp is. Let's say it's like a level 2 peacekeeper item, whatever. Why even bother with that when as soon as you hit level 10, you can just get whatever you want? You know what I mean? It's like I go like at the start of wipe, I go from MP5, I hit a certain progression threshold, and it's like sandbox mode, you know? So you just
Mm,
sort of like eliminate all of these like smaller tiers, you know what I mean? Like say like at the top of the tier, you got, I don't know, uh I was about to say M700, that's probably not right. HK 416. And at the bottom of the tier, you got like, I don't know, a Beretta pistol. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's just like once you hit that threshold, it's like I can pick anything I want now, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I
yeah.
I
No,
do
that's
feel
that's
like
very very true.
there could be a place because it is pretty cheap. But anyways.
Yeah, we'll see how it shakes down. We'll see how it shakes down. Yeah, I have like I don't want to talk
Uh,
about it right now, but
oh.
so a little bit later after we've gone kind of through like some of the other new stuff, I
Mhm.
did want to like comment on like it would have been a good way to move into it, but I think I want to show it for a second, which is like there's been more chat on every comment, or as always, about the game's beta versus like it's live. What changes do they make? Why do they make the changes they make? That kind of thing, and that kind of like feeds into what you're saying about like how we're kind of playing on sandbox mode at the moment, which
Mhm.
is kind of okay if we're beta testing everything, right? It's like different opinions on it, but like let's leave that for a minute and just move
Okay.
on to some other bits and pieces. So like I wanted to quickly talk about the new ammo that they added.
Oh,
Um,
yes. Did you see Voxy's video?
I have not. Is this the one? Is it
You gotta watch
helmets?
it. This one, no, he put
Is it
out
556
one.
helmets? That's like the one I just saw that he put out. Was that
Yeah. Did it
today?
have the new ammo listed?
I think so. I think it was new ammo versus helmets or something.
Yeah, there was helmet and armor testing.
Okay. I haven't actually seen it yet.
Okay, you need to watch that. But I'll give you the TDLR. Well,
Yeah,
I
give me the
won't.
TDLR. I'll watch it though.
Okay.
It's interesting
Um,
stuff.
the new 5.56 ammo, it sucks.
Which
It's
one?
dog.
The
The n
the SS
Oh, okay.
SAAP or
The only one
the
that
other one?
matters. The
Not the
one that's
SOST
meta.
one,
Yeah.
the meta one.
The
The other
one
one
that
is
has
just
high
like,
pin, because high pin's the only thing
yeah,
that matters. Yeah.
yeah. The other one is like question mark, why?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, so basically, since it has 36 damage, you have to, I think on most helmets, you have to hit him twice in the head because it you
yeah,
lose that damage. So I was
yeah. The
like,
20% that no food talks about, right?
yeah. I was actually
This is
really
actually
surprised about that.
this is actually the same for
The AP.
the MP7.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where you have to shoot people twice in the head,
The
and
caveat
it's
is
interesting.
you hit him in the face or face shield, you should be fine, right?
That's true because the yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, that's funny actually because like this kind of feeds into what I said like I think 3 weeks ago or so, where I was like, what is the calculation? What is the mathematics? If you have like this SSAAP versus a level 4 helmet, is that enough to stop the damage mitigation? Because you know it says like, oh,
I
if it's like
think
M995 versus Packer, it just goes straight through and there's no reduction.
yeah,
Like, what's the calculation? I don't know.
I don't know, but I suspect it's like there's a big emphasis on the relationship between the pin of the ammo and the armor. So, like, if the gap is like class 3 to class 6, the damage mitigation is very low. But if it's
Yeah.
like 4 to 6, then it's like a little bit noticeable, 5 to 6, more noticeable, 6 to 6, really
And I guess that's the thing, right? Like, what was the damage? Did you say? I forget.
For the new
Yeah, for the new
5.56,
one. Yeah.
36.
36. That's the problem, right? It's so close. It's so close. Like all you need is 5% reduction and it goes under the threshold.
Yeah.
Because you can have non-integer health, which is why sometimes you can have like 0 and you're not dead because you can have like fractions. It does actually calculate.
Mm,
It doesn't round, right? Tarkov doesn't round, even though it looks like it does. It doesn't show you in the UI.
I could believe it, yeah.
Tarkov doesn't actually round, and so I reckon if even if there's like a 5% damage mitigation on that thing, that would give you like what 1.8 or something, and that would take you to like 34.2 very roughly. And so you'll have like zero point 0.8 of a health on your head and not die. So the mitigation could be very small. And so yeah, again from like a level 6 buster versus level 2, it goes straight through. But as you say, versus level 4 helmet, maybe not. I mean, is that what he says in the video? Is like what's
I
the
don't I'm pretty
where's the
sure
threshold?
he tested level 4 and up, I can't say for sure, and they were
Yeah.
all 2 taps, to the head or helmets or face shield, whatever.
Mm,
Yeah, I don't
mm.
I skipped around a bit, so I would have to double check, but it looked really bad too, because even when you're talking about armor, right? Um, it was basically kinda like the Agonic round, right? Where it's only really good if your opponent is wearing class 6. If they're wearing class
Yeah.
5 and below, then you're better off using 995 because it'll the time to kill will be lowered by 1 bullet.
So is it like 4 shots for level 6, or is it still 3?
3 for
Should
level
be 3. Should be 3, you would think.
yeah. It should be
I don't know.
3. Yeah. Now I wanna look it up. I'm gonna look it up real quick while
Yeah.
you talk.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, no, I thought it was interesting. So yeah, I mean, like one thing that I've been investigating, I'm actually going to do something on. It's about like bullet velocity, like muzzle velocity, and this one's
Mhm.
interesting because it's faster than M95, which is the old fastest round in the game. So this does kind of put a bit of a stinger on it for doing things like shootable in heaven, I suppose. But if you're looking at like trying to find the fastest round, this guy is your this is the job. I
Yeah.
don't think there's anything other than so M905 is like 1017, I think, or 13 meters per second, and this is like 1050. And then I don't think anything else is above like a kilometer per second. I mean, that's so fast. That's so quick.
So,
So quick.
M okay, yeah, so this is what got me in the video, actually, um, because M995 what's the damage on M95? Is it
Oh man.
39?
Let me just pull it up. I may as well, given that we're going in depth into this guy. So it is 40.
40. Yeah, so I think he made a mistake, and I commented on there. I don't think it got responded, but, he had it listed as M995 level 3 was 2 hits to kill, and level 4 was two hits to kill. which to me, that doesn't sound right based off the math, unless I'm forgetting something.
Mm, well, well, it depends because like it depends what the mitigation is. Because if you're playing against like you're saying against level 3 and 4 helmets,
No,
level 3.
armors,
Oh,
armors.
armors. Oh wait. Oh, sorry. Yes, we're talking about thorax. We're talking about thorax. So
Yeah, because in the video, he actually skipped 3 and 4 in the testing. He went straight to 5 and 6 for
and he said it's a
M995.
3-hit kill. You're saying
Correct. I'm pretty sure no, I'm saying it's a 3
2.
hit kill. He's saying it's a 2 for level 3 and 4 for
I mean, it can't
M995.
be.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking he made a
It, c-
mistake.
it can't be because of the um. It doesn't have enough damage.
Yeah, and the reason
The only
why go ahead.
the only thing that makes this different, and this actually does make a big difference,
Mhm.
is the 32% frag chance. So I don't know. He just does his
Mm,
like he just does his empirically, right? So he actually goes and actually does it.
yes, but he'll
And
he'll
so
do multiple runs, so if it is, like sometimes it will be, like, 4 to 5, then he'll do 4 to 5 in there.
yeah.
'Cause some
However, right?
mhm.
So if you shoot them twice, those 2 rounds have a 32% chance each of fragging. You only need one of them to fragment to actually two-tap somebody with M995, which is actually huge. That's actually huge. Like, that's really,
Yeah,
really huge. Like, the chance of that not happening is what?
you're, like, in the 50s, right?
It's like 46% of it not happening. So the chance of it happening is like 54%. So 54% of the time you get one frag and they die.
I don't
So
know.
it's
That
like
just
half
how
2,
many
half
times
3.
have you shot scavs with M995s and they just tank it like it's nothing?
Well, I mean, that's yeah. The issue is right. Then you're like, then you've got to take into account the fact that sometimes you shoot them in up here and it goes on the arm, or they've got their gun up and you
Yeah,
shoot them in the hand and all that rubbish,
yeah,
right?
that's
So
true.
there's all of that to do. Oh my god! Like talking about that, just as a random side note,
Mhm.
I was like killing some people on shoreline. This is like the main raid that I ran that actually went really well. Some random hatch thing runs up behind me. I'm like using the TX with like the longest possible barrel. He's just like got his hatchet out. He like ducks down. I fire one shot at him. He literally sprints at me. I'm like not really paying attention because I know he's not got a gun. Do get so close to me, like wiggling around as I like click a few shots. Don't kill him. He's like up in my face and my gun's pressed against me. I'm like, oh no, this actually might go really badly. He managed to clip me on the head and put me on like 5 health on my head before I shot him. I was like, that was way closer than it should have been. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was bad. That was
I've
really bad.
actually back in the day when I was doing pistol runs on reserve on my first wipe, I remember being on top of White Knight and trying to, like, kill some hatchet runner, and I was potatoing so hard with my pistol, and he just gets up and red rebels me twice in the head, and I was, like, so mad, dude. Just more mad at myself that I did all this looting just to die to a hatchet runner. It was like, "Oh my god."
I know it's rough. No, it's rough. So yeah, I don't know. Like that's the thing. You end up shooting people in like all sorts of random
Yeah.
places, and sometimes it's very hard to know like when are you going to connect, when you're not going to connect, that kind of thing. But yeah, look, I think it does make a big difference, right? This the 36 damage thing, it matters. It does
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah, so, the reason why I pointed it out is because how they lined up was that SSA basically so in 995 versus class 6, he through his testing, he said that it is 4 to 5 hits to kill. SSA,
Hmm.
the new one, is 3 to 5 hits to kill, right?
Right.
And I think that's just based off the different armors and the material types and whatnot. Um, so assuming that, you know, they're all equal from class 3 to class 5, then really SSA is only good if your opponent is wearing like it's only worth the money invested if your opponent is wearing class 6 armor and if you're not going to shoot him in the helmet because
Yeah.
M95 will penetrate and will do enough damage to one tap him. You know, so it's like this really weird niche that it sits, which makes me think it's like a
Yeah.
really poor
Basically not
round.
worth it, right?
Yeah, and my hope was that it's going to lower M995, but I don't know. I haven't checked
I don't
M995.
think it will, partly because there's just nowhere near enough SSA AP on the marketplace. I
That's
actually don't
true.
know where it is at the moment. I bought one bullet to do some testing on muzzle velocity, and it was
Yeah.
26K.
Wow.
So I don't know what it is
You
now.
must have
Maybe
bought
people have
that
found some
day
more.
1 wipe or something too.
It was like, yeah, it was like straight away. I was
Yeah.
like doing some testing, and I was like, I can buy one. We just like share that one round between all the different guns, um, just to kind of like see what's going on. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I think M995 is still going to be the meta. I mean that frag chance thing is like, it is so
Yeah.
big. It's so big, and I think that's probably the reason why it ends up doing okay against class 6 anyway, is that it's not like an insta pen straight up, but like once the damage starts going through on the armor, which it does, does okay armor damage. I don't know how much it's going to do, to be honest, but it's like 58% on 40. So
I
who
would
knows how that calculation precisely works? But once it starts penning and you get this frag chance percentage, the actual effective damage of M905 is like 50 something, 53, like as an average.
mm, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Not that that really matters, because it's kind of like, as we said previously, it's like break points, right? So it's like, it's 2 or 3.
How do you feel
It
about
doesn't really matter.
frag chances? Deep breaths.
I don't really like it that much,
Okay.
to be honest with you. I think that there's enough variability in the game and around like the shooting skill that you don't need to add extra random variability where sometimes you just get one shot. I don't really like that very much. Not necessarily like M905, but for example, like M61 has
Yeah.
a 13% chance to frag. Like
Yeah.
that, all that does is that, like, oh, you're wearing level 6, and oh, it happened to pen you, and like, oh, it also just happened to frag, and you just die instantly. Like, I don't think it's a good game mechanic. Like, why? Like, it might be realistic, but
Sure,
I
sure.
don't think it's a very good game mechanic. I don't like it personally.
You know what I do like is, um, like, I understand RNG is a part of games. That's what, like, sort of makes it exciting. But what I like, and this is taken from Dota 2, is more controlled RNG or, like, almost like predictable RNG, right? And that sort of, like, introduced me to this pseudo RNG, which was
Mm,
something was new to me. And
yeah.
basically, like, how I think about it is, like, if you're rolling a dice and you're trying to get 6 and you get unlucky multiple times, your chances of getting 6 increases, right? So it's not like pure RNG, like a 0, like a 0.1% chance to get a crit. It's like it slowly kind of builds up to where it's like averages out better, I guess. Is that
Yeah,
a
I
fair
think
description?
yeah, definitely. I think the concept of like pseudo RNG is actually quite cool because, as you say, it averages out the chance of getting certain things, because there's quite a few memes in Dota which are about 70% chance happens 100% of the time kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and people get like 5 bashes in a row and that kind of thing. So it's like stops you getting unlucky, as well as kind of like allowing you to do other things. I mean, it does start allowing you to do some kind of gaming, where you like go, oh, I'll like hit something twice and then wait, because now I have a higher chance to get like to like crit whatever effect I'm trying to get. So
Mhm.
there is like a kind of way to sort of start gaming this kind of thing. But I quite like that in some sense for certain things, but in I just feel like in Tarkov, I don't think it adds anything to the gameplay. That's the only thing for me. I don't think it really
Yeah,
adds
that's a
anything. Like,
good
is it
point.
more exciting? Like Dota's a bit different because it's like, oh, might like proc a bash or something, and that like changes the gameplay, and you kind of like build around it. But like, does anybody buy M61 for the 13% frag chance? Like, no. It's just like sometimes it just insta kills somebody. It's
Mhm.
like, okay, you know.
Yeah, like, that is not good because now you're literally like, it's like from 0 to 1, you know what I mean? Like, the jump there is just too insane, no matter what the percentage. Even if it was like a 0.111% chance, it would be like, imagine being that unlucky guy that just got one tapped, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and like I think like yeah, again like making the parallel with Dota, given that we're talking about it already and it has a
Mhm.
system like this, it's like not the same game in any way, right? The time to kill in EFT is so low already. Like it's so
Yeah.
crazy. It sort of makes sense to be like, oh, 70% of the time you do like double damage or something, and it's like someone's health bars like chunks down, and you're like, oh my goodness, that's crazy. Whereas like in EFT, it's just like, yeah, we're going from you take 2 shots from this gun and
You
you're
take
dead to
1.
1.
Yeah.
And it's
Well,
like, yeah, this is already short, and now we're just saying that it's even shorter. So it's like it's too quick. Most of the time, it's too quick anyway to react to with like 2 shots. Um, so it's just like, yeah, I think it's unnecessary because of the type of game that it is, and it makes more sense for games where you like have a bigger health pool and you're, kind of like more works towards like a your average damage. Whereas in this, like because the health pools and the damages on the weapons are in a comparable scale, that randomness variability kind of just like makes the time to kill as a percentage on a percentage basis actually quite extreme, right? Because if it's like even something that's slow, like we were talking about M995 against
mhm.
level 6, it's like 3 to 5 shots. Like that's really not very much still. And the difference between both of you with M905 and one of you getting 5 hits, one of you getting 3 is also, it's really quite a big difference.
Yeah.
It's quite a big difference. And so I don't think there's
I
enough variability in the game to make it interesting without having to add this mechanic, and basically you keep the skill cap. I would argue the skill cap is technically higher without this because the person
Oh,
who
for
sees the
sure.
person and shoots more accurately is the person that will win. And there's already enough randomness in the game itself that you don't need to add any false randomness. That's my opinion on it. But they've added it in for realism's sake, um, which is our beloved topic.
It is interesting to me that I'd never really noticed this before, but I was looking at a couple different rounds, and the 5.56 has really high, on average, fragmentation chance. Like,
Yes.
even the 5, where was it? I just lost it. 5.856 has 32%. 5.581 has 45%. M995 has 32. M8 has 40%. FMJ has 50%. And
Yeah.
these will still 55 HP has, oh, never mind. That's doesn't have, can't proc it because they got to have
Yeah.
20 or more pin to proc it. Um, Anyways,
Yes.
I
Exactly.
that's actually pretty significant. I because I was looking at beat like the high caliber for the AK, like the BP and PS. It's all like 25 and below. 9 millimeters, like any of the high pins, they basically can't. Fragmentation is like 5%, but the 5.56 for whatever reason's got. And I feel like it would be better if it was more pseudo if they want to keep that in. Is that how you say it? Pseudo?
I've always said pseudo.
Pseudo. That's how you say it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyways,
it's got very, very high
interesting.
frag chance, that's true. And for anybody who doesn't know, by the way, just to make a comment on what we said quickly, No Food After
Yes.
Midnight did loads of testing, and basically if it's under 20 penetration, roughly it seems, it won't ever proc the fragmentation, even if it says 100%, because some rounds say 100% or 70% or
Mhm.
90% or whatever, and if but they only have a penetration of 3 or 5 or whatever. So like, 5 or 6 Warmage has 85 damage and a frag chance 90%, but because it only has 3 pen, it will never actually proc the um it'll never actually proc the frag chance. And
Right.
I think there was some explanation. I think it's on one of Veritas's videos. There's an explanation of like why this is the case, but it was like I actually couldn't quite follow it. It was something to do with 2 different types of calculation about whether it like there's like a global penetration, then and like a specific
I think I
penetration.
remember
There's something
that.
along those lines.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and watch it though because it was a bit like,
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. And so then, right, the other one is the 762, the MAIAP, which I'm excited
Yes.
and pleased to say was what I was hoping for, which is a Netta 762 AK
Absolutely.
round, which is nice. But again, it's finding raid only, and so it's probably going to be hideously expensive, just like Lapua AP
It was about
and SSA.
4K last I looked.
Okay,
It's
okay.
come
You know
down.
what?
It's come down a little bit.
You know what? That's not actually that bad. Like I was staring down the barrel of 4,000 for an M905 the other day,
Yeah.
so that's actually not terrible. That's actually not terrible.
Wait, 4,000 or 40,000, you mean?
4,000 for M905 on Fleet because the trading was
Oh,
on that.
oh, yeah, yeah, sorry, thought
Yeah.
you meant the other round, never mind.
No, no,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I think this round's actually gonna be really good because the damage is still high enough that even if it does get reduced by, like, 20%, I wanna say, it's still, I don't know, it's 46, so let's think here.
Yeah, it's
What's
46. So that's
mm,
92. So it only has to be reduced by
mm,
like 8, I think.
30,
Yeah, 8%. 8% is enough to get it lower than 85.
85 is the threshold? Oh, for 2 tap.
Well, for thoraxes, yeah, for 2-tap thorax.
Oh, I was thinking 3.
So, I'm not sure, but, like, I guess
Yeah.
you have to, like, toss it up between the fact that BP only has a 50% against level 5 anyway, so on that one, you have to kinda get through the armor first. On the other one, it's like, you might not kill them, but,
Hmm.
you'll definitely be penetrating armor, which is quite good,
Well,
but it's got lower frag chance, so
58%. Are we in class 6 territory with 58% pin?
well, with 58 pen?
Yeah.
I think so.
It
I
might
mean,
not
what's
be
that equivalent
reliable.
to? Let's see what that's yeah, well, I mean, M9 and 5 is at 53.
Well, M95 can't pin class 6.
Not straight away, but
What
it's
about
like
M61? What's M61 at?
M61 is 64.
Okay.
So it's kind of halfway between.
I think it needs to be in, like, 61, 62 to even be, like, a 90% chance if I had to guess.
I'm actually not sure because I know M61. I think like because this is another Voxy video, but I think M61 is a 2-tap through everything, right? It doesn't
Yeah, it
matter.
doesn't matter.
Anything
Yeah,
slicks, hexes, doesn't matter. Like
yeah.
just 2-taps everything in the game. I mean, if I just like, because I actually have the chart up here, so if I just like filter this, where does it actually sit? So it's like M9 and 5 and APSX with 53. Then you've got the Val
Oh,
round, BP one.
APSX is 53?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure AP goes straight through class 5, no problem, if I recall.
Class 5,
It might
yes.
be in the 70 percentage range on, like a first shot chance, 70%. I could be wrong,
Okay,
though.
so MAIAP at 58, and then you've got 7BT1 for 76254R at 59, and then SNB for 76254R at 62. So it's only 4 pen underneath SNB.
It's
Whether that
gotta
makes a
be
difference or not,
close.
I don't know whether it's on that. We talked the other day about
Yeah,
the sensitivity threshold, whether it's like on that boundary for level 6. It could well be.
yeah,
I don't know where that boundary sits, but I know SMB pretty much. But SMB is just like straight through level 6 in 2 as well. And yeah,
yeah.
and M61 is 2 more pen than SMB. So M61 is like straight through. SMB is straight through. 7BT1, I haven't run it enough to know. And then
What's
MAI 762
7
is like just underneath that. 7BT1, that's the tracer version, basically. It's just the
7BT1?
tracer version of SMB.
Yeah. That one, if I recall, is not reliable against class 6.
Well, there
And
you go. That's the thing then. Because so this one has one less pen than that.
so this is probably gonna be go straight through class 5 and probably like a 50 on class 6 if I had to guess. That's my rough
Yeah.
estimation. So the question
Well,
is, basically, if this thing 2 taps class 5 and below, then it's gonna be really good. But if it loses damage on class 5 and up, it's not gonna be that good. If it requires 3 hits to kill, then that's not gonna be that good.
because yeah, then otherwise it's going to be like the same as BP,
Exactly.
unless you're going against class 6 specifically.
Exactly. Yes. And then you have to factor in the costs, versus benefit analysis or whatever. I don't even know if that's the right term, but
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Whereas BP is like what, 1,000 a shot?
yeah,
Something
yeah.
like that. And this thing's like, as you say, 4. Maybe
4
it'll go to 3 or
times.
something. I
Yeah.
don't know. And technically, there's more recoil percentage. Whether that actually functions or not was
Right.
a discussion that we had previously. So I don't know. I mean,
I'll say this, I used it. I built a AK-103 and I I used 10 rounders in it with a scope
okay,
because I figured I'll just treat it like the Lapua, right? I'll just have a bunch of ammo in my container and then
yeah,
just reload. And I did get into some close quarter combat and it felt like 3 hit to kill. And they had like class 3 armors. But again, that could be hitting the arms, you know? Like it didn't feel I didn't feel the impact there. But that was only like one raid
interesting.
where I got into like a fight. So I'm not
Yeah,
we'll have to see it. We need to see the Foxy. Come on. Come through.
exactly,
Next video,
exactly.
please.
Yeah, Chad's saying like faster velocity as well, and that's quite
Yeah.
right. Like MAIAP is like 875 versus BP, which is 730. So that's actually a big difference. That makes a big difference. It's a good, probably like 20%
I
faster
notice
if you're sniping.
if you're sniping and you're using like a a Voodoo or any 50 millimeter, just don't adjust long distance unless they're really far. Like if they're 100 meters, just put it around the head because it will just go up and then right on them. It's like it's perfectly yeah, because that whole sighting thing and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. Most of the guns I think in 7.62 are rated for PS, I think.
Mm,
I believe.
yeah.
Yeah, one thing that one thing that's random about that is that like some of the guns in the same caliber um, aren't even rated with
Yeah.
the same default round, which is quite
Yeah.
interesting. And I'd like yeah, I was looking at that specifically for 5.56 because it's the one with the speedy rounds. We've got the speedy boys in that category, but we've got like the relatively normal ones, which you'd imagine the M855 is kind of the default for everything, which is true, except for things like the AK-101, which I think they're rated for like 55 FMJ as the default,
Mm.
which is kind of
That's
weird.
interesting. What's the muzzle velocity on that?
It's actually
55A1.
quite high.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
55, yeah, 55 H. Sorry, yeah, which one is it? Yeah, 55 FMJ
Oh,
is
okay.
957. Yeah, so it's a weird
Okay.
one. It's like a off the
Hmm.
run one that you'd never use because it's got 24 pen,
Interesting.
but it's
Because
quite fast.
yeah, because if you're trying to do shooter-borne, a lot of people recommend
Mhm.
the 101,
Yeah,
um, and then you put N995 in it, which is also a high. That's really
exactly. So that's
interesting.
1013 versus 957, and basically your zeroing is almost correct.
Interesting. Oh, interesting how this all works out. I do hope in the future that they somehow get over this because mainly the 9 mil issue is really annoying. Like, I was trying to use a scope on the new STM9, and
Yeah.
I just it's so unnatural to aim not in the center crosshair, aim above the crosshair. Like, I can't my brain cannot process that, so I just gave up and went with a 25 millimeter sight.
Yeah, see, the thing for me is that, like, when I was using red dots with the first time I ran into this was the MP5 SD because it's actually even
Yes.
worse. It's so much worse because you have like the minus 33% round velocity on that
Yep.
weapon. And just like amplifies all of the problems.
Yeah.
And the issue with that, like, I actually don't mind aiming above. Like, I have no problem with that because like a lot of people do that in PUBG. Like using the zeroing system is always
Yes.
complicated and range finding is tricky. So I don't mind aiming above. What I find really confusing is having to aim down
Yeah,
to
that's
hit
what I
somebody
meant.
above the target.
Yeah, that
My God. Oh, I
is
see. That's what you meant. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
ugh.
It's just like, oh my God, it's so disconcerting. It's kind of like doing leg meta, except like even more like,
It's so backwards. It's so hard to
5,000
yeah.
IQ. Yeah, it's so hard. It's so, so hard. And that's actually, interestingly, that's the reason why I started looking into the compacts in the first place, because I looked online and was just like, why is this happening? And people were like, oh, it's because of the thing. And you need something with 25 meters. And then I started looking at the compact ones. And then I ended up running the Delta point on every gun. That's actually the logical thought process that I went through
Mm,
to end up where I am now as like a slave to that scope.
yeah. I'm the same with
So,
the PKO,
rich
the
boy.
SMG PKO. Wait, what'd you say?
Rich boy.
Oh, I thought you said bitch boy. I was like,
Oh.
hold up, Giga. No.
No, I would never be so rude. Um, how much is that scope now? Still like
80K.
50K.
80K.
80K. Oh my god. My god.
Hey, I got that Bitcoin farm though. Speaking of
It's true.
Bitcoin farm,
Mm.
the GPU has been dumpster. Dude, that crap
Yeah,
is
so the
dead.
craft doesn't work anymore, right?
No, it works, but it don't make you any
Oh well,
money.
yeah. Works as in like functions.
Yeah.
Works as in makes you money is what I meant, and that's like a big nope. A big nope.
So to sort of fast track the conversation, they pretty much added a new item in the craft, and they increased the components a bit, like CPUs and CPU fans. I think, maybe
Yep.
even like a vertex or like you have to. They added a bunch of stuff and basically made it to where essentially now the only reason you would ever craft that, in my opinion at least, is for the quest. You know, if you cannot find what is it, 3 GPUs you have to hand in, found in raid to
Yeah.
mechanic, you can craft them, right? Otherwise, last I saw, I'm sure this has changed. Last I saw, you could craft it and not and use it in your farm, and it's like technically you saved a little bit of money, rather than buying it outright. But I'm sure that's changed because I've seen the wrenches go for like 1 million plus now. Like they're almost the cost of the GPU. It's insane, actually. So now just run interchange hatchet and grab them GPUs and put them in your farm.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's actually crazy. Assuming you must think that you think that that's the most efficient thing. You could do other loot runs and just buy them. That's also an option.
Yeah, see,
But
that's the
to
other
make
thing.
money,
Yeah.
yeah, to make money, I guess I think unfortunately is still the best thing, right? To go in with very little, be extremely light, go and hatch it. It's like honestly, I've never. Maybe I should do some of those runs just to see what it's like to get an experience of like what it's like being a hatch runner. I just like I don't have time to just like mess around, just dying five
It's
times just to
yeah,
get
that's the
one on the
thing,
sixth
man.
raid. I just can't be bothered, right? Like
It's a
my
big time
my
sink.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like when you don't need the money, it's like why would I do that to myself? I'm just
Yeah.
like half tempted because I always think like, oh, I wonder like what motivates people to do it, and like kind of interested to like see how that functions. But then every time I come to do it, I'm just like, I would much rather do something else with my life.
Yeah,
Like
see,
this is
that's the
gonna
thing.
be,
It feels like a yeah.
this is gonna be 3 hours I'm never gonna get back.
I feel like either like I don't know the mindset, but kinda how I would think of it is like, A, I don't mind spending the time to do this because I know it's gonna guarantee rewards. Like it's just I don't value my time as much, so therefore I can spend, grinding this
Yeah,
quest I set for myself basically. Or the other way I see it is like I don't have any money. This is like a guarantee way I can get money for myself by putting these in my farm. I don't know, maybe they go hand in hand.
yeah,
That's the only thing I could think of really.
yeah. I think
Because
that's
I
right.
tried
Like,
it once and I was just like, "Dude, I spent more time loading in queue than I have playing the game." Because I mean, you go in,
yeah.
you if you don't find it, you die, and it's just like, let me spend another 5 minutes queuing up. Like, it sucks, dude. It's so boring.
Maybe I should do it while I'm editing. Just
Dude,
like edit, edit,
stonks.
edit, got it on the side, like, 10-minute loading time into interchange. Oh, here we go. Dug, 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 dug. Immediately shot
You
by
know what?
M61
I
through the
bet
head with the frag chance, and you're instantly dead to the thorax to some other dude, and then oh, okay, fine, like reload. Here we go. Rip my survival rate.
I bet people do that because that's actually super efficient. Like, imagine if you were, like, working from home and you were, like, some just call center agent. You could just be sitting there mindlessly running through interchange, you know what I mean? Like, 'cause you're not really playing a game, you're just looting, and I've
Yeah.
seen people I've killed a hatchet runner, looted him, and you know what's in his pockets, GigaBeef? Ruples.
What?
1 ruple in each slot. I was
One
like,
ruble in each slot? Why?
"Yes," because when he loots something, it goes straight to his container.
Oh, that's smart.
So I was
That's
like, "Are you
That's big
serious?"
brain. That's
Dude.
big brain. That's like maximum hatchling
Yes,
efficiency.
dude.
You know what? There's something about that that I respect.
Oh, 100%, 100%. You know what's even
There's
the
something about
next
that that I
level
like.
that you can't do
Mhm.
anymore, but the next level that one of my buddies told me about, you unpack the ammo out of the boxes, and you put the empty boxes in the USB. I was like, "Dude, that's so genius."
Don't even
You
waste a
save 1
ruble.
ruble.
This is like ultimate rat strats. Yeah, but they nerfed that one. They nerfed the 1 ruble
Yeah.
saving. So you save 4 rubles per raid if you do it
Yeah.
the other way, and they've nerfed that. So you have to God forbid you have to spend 4 rubles loading in.
This is too
You know.
funny to me.
Oh my god, it is too funny. That's great. That really is good. That really is good. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
it probably is still the like. Do you think it's the most efficient way to make money? Do you think like if you want to make money in the game by playing raids,
I don't
is it
know,
efficient to
man.
sit like if you don't have anything to do at the same time? Is it efficient? Is it better to do that versus doing other things? It's
I
hard, it's a
don't
tough one,
because
you know.
because with hatchet running, it's not skill based, it's all RNG based. The spawn, the,
Yeah.
loot, that's all RNG based, right? And you're slowly bleeding money with therapist heal, and most importantly, in my opinion, you're bleeding a lot of time, but
Mhm.
you're just again, you're not really doing any skill stuff, and then they've nerfed the farms so much now, so, like, 1 card extra is, like, what? Maybe, like, a 2%, 3% faster Bitcoin production time? I don't know the numbers, I'm just ballparking here. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's I mean it's low. Like each card actually is quite low after the number one. Now, number 1 is
Yeah.
crazy, and
Yeah,
then the ones after
0 to
that
1
are
is
like
huge.
it's like 0 to 1 is like, oh, you get the money back in like a day kind of
Yeah.
thing or something. It's like day or 2 days, and then um and yeah, it's probably like 2 days given the price where the prices are. And then the next ones is just like 60-day turnaround on like 2 to
Yeah.
50, I think, because I think they all are like incrementally the same. It's like the Bitcoin time changes from like you don't get any coins to you get one every like 24 hours or something, and then you add one more. It's like, oh, now you get it in 24 hours and like, or 24 hours and 30 minutes, or like 23 hours, or whatever. Take half an hour off. I can't do maths. Um,
Right, right.
and so it's like, oh, for that incremental Bitcoin card, or that card to go to the Bitcoin farm and get and only remove it by 30 minutes means that like the implied production rate on that card is like so low. It's like really low,
Yeah.
which is kind of weird. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, what actually is the price of them? I didn't actually check what the price of the bitcoins. I keep saying bitcoins.
Uh,
Well, the price of the graphics cards are now, because you would expect that they should be going down, kind of. Although I guess, like, given that people can't craft them anymore, that might have driven demand up a little more.
it's a
I actually don't
weird
have the game open at the moment.
relationship. So currently for me, they're at 1.8 mil,
Okay.
1.85 mil.
Okay. Okay.
And then the wrench, see if I can find the wrench. Ratchet wrench is 1 mil.
Okay. Yeah. And
And
then you got to
speaking
buy
of
all the other
which,
stuff, right?
yeah, like it's there's no way it's worth anymore. There's no way. I mean,
Yeah.
to be fair, CPUs like um CPUs and CPU fans have come down a lot, like a lot, like 20K, I want to say.
But
Um
circuit boards is part of it too, right?
yeah,
I
circuit
think. And
boards.
they've also come down a lot.
Yeah, PC CPUs are going for like 10 to 15K right now. Circuit
Yeah, everything else just
boards,
died. Even the
yeah.
VPXs. I was actually crafting VPXs
Circuit
before.
boards are like
Um,
20K, yeah.
and that's like halved from like 250 to like 120 or something. So I stopped doing that. I started crafting Intel instead.
So now, this is kinda interesting. So maybe now the meta is to hatchet run to back a volley and Goshen to get the ratchet wrenches. So when you die, you can craft the graphics card.
Because it's fine, because it's not finding raid. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. That's I don't it's so funny to me, man.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's so weird. Like, you know what? The marketplace finds a way, and by the marketplace, I mean like people, right? People just
Yeah.
like they find the way through the maze. You know, it's like you just set off like 100 rats in a kind of like in a maze, and then they'll find their way to
Human
the food.
engineering, I love it.
It it really is. It really is. It's kind of like, maybe we're all just some kind of like guinea pigs in a big simulator for Nikita. He's doing some kind of like actual economic prediction about what's going to happen. He's going to make millions. Who knows? He's got
Rat
like a perfect social test.
yeah, Patimus says ratchet wrenches, I think I've only spawned in rare spawns or something. I've heard stashes slash caches, places where you find streamer loot items, which is weird to me. And also, it has a very low chance of spawning in toolboxes. Apparently, someone found one in a toolbox.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I don't
So
know.
yeah, I
That's
I
what
think
I've
it is
heard.
pretty rare. I mean, that's why there's so much. But yeah,
Yeah. No.
yeah. I mean, that's interesting. It's all interesting stuff. They've made the hideout even more expensive.
Yeah. The one touch
Apparently,
on that.
even more money to do pretty much everything. Um,
Um, there's some interesting things there because I noticed before you could just craft the level 1 lavatory pooper station, I wanna say. I think it's the level
just like
1.
straight up.
Like, you go from nothing yeah, it's just a strip pure cash one. Now you
Yeah.
need toilet paper, which I kinda like because during that phase, when you're just starting out on a wipe, you can't just go out and exchange cash for the item. You have to go find that item, assuming you don't hit level 10 instantly at the start of a wipe and don't get flea market, but, yeah, I kinda like that change, you know? Um
Yeah. I don't mind. I actually don't mind these like making the hideout take a bit longer kind of changes. I
Mhm.
feel like I don't know, like it's still weird to me. I feel like the changes that they're making lend themselves to a hardcore account like really well. Adding all of these like items and stuff. I feel
Yep.
like it would all make a lot more sense if there was actually a hardcore character. It really would. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they were gearing up to something like that, because
Man,
maybe it's wishful thinking for me, because I think it would be super cool. But like, I think Pesterly, obviously, he didn't do it with all of the changes in as they are now, but I think he's actually pretty close to getting Kappa on his hardcore, which is
really?
which
Excuse
is
me.
pretty solid. That's pretty solid.
Yeah,
Like,
that's impressive.
I'm quite impressed.
I
I'm quite impressed.
I mean, it is a little bit like it's so tough, man, because you play I haven't played a hardcore, but, like, I played something similar, and I wanna be quick here. In my experience, it's like people are so geared by this time that you're doing it. It's like you kill one gear player, and it's almost like you're back
Yeah.
as it's still restrictive. It's still restrictive, don't get me wrong. Um, but it would be so interesting, dude, if we just had a
Yeah.
separate hardcore server.
That's the thing. You need everyone to
Ah,
be doing it.
it would be
So there's
so
not just gear
interesting,
everywhere.
man.
You need everyone to be doing it. And that's why, like, I kind of like, I started doing a bit at the end of last wipe, and I kind of was just like, exactly what you were saying. It's kind of pointless because, um, you know, everyone has all the stuff, and all you need to do is kill one person with a head tap, and then you just take their metagear, and then that's it. It kind of like removes the point of it. I want to see everybody's random builds that they've cobbled together out of like
Yeah,
the
like,
junk that they
dude,
found.
oh,
It would be so cool.
it would be
And a lot of
great,
these
man.
changes would make sense, right? Can you imagine like if you got the hideout maxed in hardcore? My God, like it would be so hard in hardcore without being able to buy stuff off the flea. Like that's your like lengthy wipe cycle that we're talking about. It would take you forever. You would always be having something to look for. It would be incredibly frustrating, but maybe that's kind of what they're looking for. I'm interested. I'm interested to see, like, because then you'd be like, right, I need to find this item. Where are we going to go and get it? And it incentivizes you to run the same thing over and over again. It's kind of a bit like some of the other RPGs where you run, for RNG loot drops
Mhm.
for particular item because you need that to build the hideout to the next part. And like, even getting to Bitcoin level 1 would be like, oh, holy grail. Oh my God, this is
Yeah,
insane.
that'd be
To be honest,
huge.
even getting to Intel Center 2, just like anywhere close to that would be ridiculous.
Yeah,
And I don't know, it'd be fun.
yeah.
It'd be kind of
I mean,
fun.
in a nutshell, it sounds great because I'm thinking back to, like, when we started this podcast, when we were talking about the new, single fire SMG, like, then that gun, like, say you're starting out and you have a pistol, you killed a guy that has this new, single fire SMG, like, that's an upgrade,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's not just like I'm
yeah,
going from nothing to meta HK, you know what I mean? And then but,
yes.
it's also they I think if they want to move the game in this direction, they still have to tackle the power gap, because like, the guy that's like Pastilli, that's all the way at the top of the food chain, at the start of the hardcore wipe, let's say, and then Billy, just found out about the game, and he's like, "I wanna play this game," and he logs on, and it's like 6 months in the wipe or whatever, and he's just, like, at the very bottom of the food chain, and everyone's, like, generally averaging out around, like, you know, here on the progression line, and he's, like, all the way down here, you know what I mean? There's, like, a huge power gap. That's kinda like the struggle with the flea market and the
I
hardcore,
don't
you
know
know?
if that's any different though. I like referencing Crash's video on it. I don't know if that's any different to how it is now. Like how it is now is like, in my opinion, probably the worst implementation of inequality, regardless of whether you like it or not. And there's like, I guess it's almost like s- segues into what I wanted to like push till now, which I can talk about in a second. But he was saying like the reason why people want the flea is because other people have the flea to buy the best ammo to kill the other people who have also bought good armor on the flea. And it's like this kind of circular argument that everybody wants it because everybody has it. And when you first start, you don't have it.
Yeah.
And so like the game's really tough until level 10. And then it's like, well, now I have everything.
Right.
I feel that like, and I've spoken a little bit about this before in terms of like the ability to like transform one piece of gear into another. And that's like in hardcore, even if you're like top level player, you won't necessarily have enough, like you won't have enough stuff to run
Yes.
the best gear all the time.
Right.
Unless you literally don't die, right? Unless you just don't ever die, which is not really possible. But I mean, some people have like nutty survival rates. That's fair enough. But like, no individual person should be finding enough like slicks, for example, to run them every single raid.
Yeah.
And I imagine that people, even at the top of the food chain, will still be wearing level 4 fairly often. And so I think it would flatten the curve a lot because the issue now is that you can buy everything with the money that you have, and people are in a situation
Yes.
where they can buy anything every time The traders make that worse because you can buy all the meta guns and you just literally go like preset, click, 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 slick, 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 whatever, and just bash it on, and you're wearing the best gear in the game every single raid, right? And that's what you want to avoid if you're playing hardcore, because you can't just transform. Like, you might have like, say you have like, I don't know, 3 airframes or 4 airframes. Well, you
Mhm.
actually can't convert those into anything else. You've just got like
Yes.
4 airframes, and that's it. That's that, right? Like, whereas somebody else, like, in theoretically speaking, I mean, I know this is a very stupid and specific example, but this is kind of like, referencing the entire economy. You can't just say, well, I'm going to take 3 of my airframes and I'm going to sell 3 of them, and I'm going to wear the one of them, and I'm going to use the money from the 3 to go and buy like this, or top up a little bit elsewhere to go so I can buy this armor and then this gun, or whatnot. Whereas, like, yeah, you'd be like, well, the guns that I found, and everything is just what I have. Um, and it makes the gameplay more variable, because then you have to kind of like find the rounds that you're going to be using for the things and actually choose, like, do I want to go in or not? And that's why, again, with that element, I'd quite like to have different scenarios of different raids, because like at the moment every raid is kind of the same. It's
Mhm.
like, oh, I'm just going in, find loot, I just go in and find loot, and like, you have got your own ideas of what to do, which kind of give you some variability, right? It's like, if I'm running the guide, I'm going to be running the very best gear irrespective of survival rate and profitability. It doesn't matter because I'm doing the guide. So there are some elements like that to it. But I still would like different scenarios where it's less like, oh, here's a raid where I'm going to go in super geared, and here's a raid where I'm not going to go in geared. Because I think once you finish all of the quests, it's
Mhm.
like every raid is the same, and there's no like, you're not just doing like, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, every
Oh,
raid is
absolutely.
just kind of like, you've got the same goal
It's
and objective. So it's like,
yeah.
why would I bring my M995 that I've found, like my 30 rounds that I've found? Why would I bring it into this raid and not like, not the other raid that I ran, because they're all kind of the same at this point. So I was just like, well, I'll just
Yeah.
use it because it's the best stuff. And then when I run out, I'll
Right.
just use the next one. It's like,
You
oh, well, I might want to save this because like once a month they have like a special event. It's like there's a convoy that you have to, whatever, like some special event, some mission or something, and you go and sign up, and you can sign up with your buddies, and maybe you only get one attempt, and you're like, fine, well, I can take all my good stuff because everyone else is going to take all their good stuff, and everyone has just like a meta throwdown to do this like thing maybe once a week, once a month, whatever, and then that kind of like incentivizes you to actually do the loot runs with the lower level kit, and to save up the stuff for the special event. And like, there's ways to do this, and that's what I would like. And then it makes hardcore work properly, because then it's like, there's like different, you need like different tierings of like importance around particular raids. I kind of like the idea of making like some special events, like you only get to try them once. You get to try them whenever, but you get to only try them once. I think that'd be kind of fun.
you threw me for a loop with the special events. Um, yeah, what do you mean by
I
like
think just
special
make,
events?
yeah, just like, rather than it just be like, oh, you go into a raid or something, it'd be like, oh, here's like, there's some kind of storyline element to the overall thing. It'd be like,
Is this kind of like weekly quests, weekly tasks?
sort of, yeah. But it'd be like, oh, Rashalla's convoy is coming through and blah blah. But it'd be like, you go on customs, but it's like you go on like a special version, like the special week, the weekly task version of customs. It'd be like its
Hmm.
own server, but only for like, you know, a weekend, say,
Hmm.
or like Friday through Sunday, and it's open over that weekend. And like, I don't know how it would work with the player base and whatever, but like, you could either play normal customs or you play like special event customs. And people who are playing special event customs only get matched with other people playing special event customs. And it's only for like 3 days potentially, and you only get one try. But it's like maybe like super, super, super loot, or maybe you get something that like will
So it's
only
kind of
ever
like
spawn in that event, you know,
yeah, it's kind of like
whether that's
labs,
cosmetic or
but on
not.
other maps. In a nutshell,
Kind of, sort of,
stripped
yeah.
down to its core.
Sort of
Yeah.
stripped down, but like, what I would like them to do is incentivize people to take in good gear, like for a particular reason,
Let's see. I
and
feel
say
like
like,
the hardcore totally encapsulates that, right?
without this,
Yes, because you have like you were saying, it's not like I'm gonna have access to anything and everything when I want it. So even though I may have killed this guy and he has a slick and a hex and I got a mag, I don't have infinite ammo. So I have to like decide, well, do I want to use the ammo that I do have, or do I want to use like, you know, try to find the ammo in the raid, or do I want to use some crappier ammo that I have? You know what I mean? You have to make these hard choices when it comes to like your raids, right? Whereas now it's like just once you hit in game, it's just like sandbox mode.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. I think like it goes some way to doing it. And yeah, like depending on like the quests you're doing or whatever, like that changes it. But like the issue that I had is that once you like finish all the quests, and like, yeah, the daily quest thing is kind of
I
it's
kinda see
kind
what
of
you're saying.
the same, but like a daily or weekly quest where it's like you just have to go out and kill like XYZ number of PMCs. I don't think that's like an interesting enough event to make people go, I'm going to bring all my best kit, unless it's something, unless they implement it in a very specific way, which is
Yeah.
actually kind of what I was talking about in the
I
first place,
just
where you have like, special events where it's like, okay, well, this is like a one-time raid where, you have to go and do something very particular, and it sort of incentivizes you to bring you good stuff. But it's kind of along the same lines. It's just like a progression along the same thought process. Like,
yeah. The thing I don't like about those types of suggestions is it's, like, very reliant on BSG's content, right? Because the
yes,
like, it's eventually that event's gonna get boring, so they have to do a new thing, so they have to make new content. Like, I want something that's like, "Here's the tools, if you will, the mechanics we gave you, you know, you kinda just make your own story or content or whatever." You know what I mean? Like, something to do
yeah.
with the loop that's, like, just a nice cycle, man. Like, I could we could delve in. I don't wanna take up too much time here, but,
Yeah, exactly. No, I think we've kind of spoken about this before as well, like about different tiers of raids and stuff. You could make it work in the framework. But what I wanted to talk about very quickly, I
yes,
guess
go
we
ahead.
don't want to spend too long on it, was about some more comments about like the updates that they make about us being in, are we in beta? Is it actually in alpha? Is it actually
Mhm, mhm.
released? Like lots of people seem to have different opinions on it. I think it's like Nice Guy says that the game is in alpha because key features of the end product are not released. I consider the game effectively to be in release with features being added as they go. Um, and it kind of depends. Like it's funny because yeah, people are talking about the economy and about how anyone can buy anything. And
Mhm.
interestingly, if this is a test, that's actually good. It means everyone can use everything, and it's really on creative mode, and that's fine for testing purposes. That's actually great. You want everyone to be able to use everything, really. I mean, Bitcoin's going crazy is kind of okay, and so then to ramp up the cost of all this stuff now rather than just like putting it in some kind of log and then like releasing it at the beginning of the next wipe so they can test how the economy will respond. That's what confuses me about the mentality. It's
Yes.
like, are we
Yeah.
are we live or are we not live? You say we're not live, yet you're putting in
Right.
like balancing changes now, like in the middle of the wipe when it doesn't make any difference. Why would you put that in now if we weren't live? If it's like just give everybody, if it's actually a test, give everybody unlimited ammo. I know that they're like they have to test the economy, and so it has to be like some semblance of the live game to actually make it make sense. Because if you just gave everybody like billions of rubles, it wouldn't look like the real game, and people wouldn't use all sorts of different kits and stuff. So I kind of get that argument, but doing those kind of changes, it's like these are like balancing changes. I almost don't like those, but and they make like they tweak with like the pen on different rounds and stuff like this, and I find it a bit odd. I don't know, like where do you stand on the topic? I mean, I think the game is effectively released as far as like practicality is concerned, and yeah, as I said, people like Noise Grade think it's in alpha.
I think before the game got popular, and I wasn't around, but this is just how I look at it, it was in beta, and I think when it got popular, it wasn't in beta. Because they have such a tension on them now, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it went from, like, what was it, like, 3K players, 30K average players to, like, 300K, like, that's insane, you know what I
mhm,
mean? And so you have and it's super interesting, like, their success is really interesting, they did, all of their marketing was through streamers, right? Through
pretty
Twitch, which
much.
is really smart, and I think that's gonna be the future for games so it's just like, I don't know, man, it's like, it feels like a game as a service. You know what I mean? Like when I say game as a service, I mean like a free to play game like Apex Legends, for example. And then they have like microtransactions in there, right? Because they're like constantly updating the game, right? But this is like
Hmm.
they're adding new features, it's in beta and it's a flat cost, right? So and then they talk about
Yeah,
like a wipeless cycle. And for me, it's like really hard to see how that's ever gonna work, you know? But maybe it'll work. Um so I don't know. It's just like I tend to agree with you. Like some of these I think what it is for me is I'm just like trying to accept the fact that they're trying to work on the servers and the net code and cheating. Like that's their biggest fight right now, in my opinion. And then they have like all these other little things, right? Like audio issues, bugs, whatever have you. And then they got streets, which is like their big, like this is their big thing. This is like what did Nikita say on the podcast? Is like I don't know. It would be like revolution. Like no one's ever done this before in a multiplayer game or whatever. So to me, they're trying to get all the content out and the how the game will look, and then they're gonna do like a polishing phase. That's my hope, anyways. I don't know. We'll see. So that's kind of my thoughts on it.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I think like it. Yeah, as you say, it's kind of like depends on the mentality of the developers in some ways. It's like it's only in. I think like when people say, "Oh, it's in alpha," I still feel that like that depends on like what your definite like you're kind of like I feel like people are like strictly and stringently sticking to the definition and being like, "Oh, there's key features missing," and it depends on then what you define as key features. It's like whether you define the story mode as being a key feature or whether the gameplay is kind of finished, like the gameplay loop is sort of like the same. So it's like philosophically what you actually deem to be key or not. Because in
Yeah.
terms of like general gameplay, like outside of certain bits of the game loop that I imagine may be added in future, like the game kind of functions pretty well. I've said this before,
Yeah,
Tarkov is an awesome
totally.
game. So it's hard to know
I
like
mean,
how different the full vision is going to look and if open world will actually even work and
yeah.
like what they can do with it and like you could kind of you can take it to like that it's never going to actually be released mode if you add in all the stuff that they say they're going to do. So I don't really know.
So do you consider open world a key feature?
I guess no, and I guess that's kind of why I
Yeah.
feel the way I do because I just don't know if it's ever going to get added, and I don't know if it would ever. I don't know if it would change the game loop either, which for me is kind of what's important. Like, will
Mhm.
it change the feeling of the game? Possibly. It depends on it depends on how they do it. It depends on how they do it. It depends on how they do it. It's super hard. It's super hard to know. Super hard to know. I don't know, man. I don't
Yeah.
know.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Alright.
There was one other random thing that I wanted to mention before we finished,
Yeah.
and that was I saw streamer Zero to Hero got 100 melee kills on Killer.
Wait, what happened?
He did the 100 kills on Killer, and he only killed him with melee weapons.
What's his name?
Zero to Hero.
Oh, interesting.
I thought this was an important public service announcement because
He
that's
got
absolutely
100. Yeah.
insane.
So the question is, can you one tap him with max strength and the hatchet?
I don't know. I'm actually not
Because
sure.
I've seen videos of people hatcheting Killa. Because you
Yeah,
get you block his gun and you just hatchet him, which is interesting.
yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, to be honest, I never normally get close enough to Killer to even kill him.
Mhm.
Never mind hit him with a hatchet or a red rebel or whatever, because I'm awful at interchange. But that's another story.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Cool, man.
I thought that was fun. I thought that was fun. That's like pretty insane.
Alright, any closing thoughts? Anything else?
New patch is good. Stop the flashing and everything will be brilliant. And I think things are going good. Yeah, that's it really. I'm liking it. I'm liking it.
Cool. With that, we'll wrap it up and we'll catch you guys next week.
All right, catch you later.